Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, what do you know? It's September. Welcome to a new month. And I know some of us, when we get to September, we start getting palpitations, but no cause for alarm. No cause for alarm. While there's life, there's always hope. And things we didn't do, hey, you know what? We'll do them, even if it means we'll do them next year. So, welcome everybody to September, a month that I particularly enjoy, you know, because it gets cooler, especially here where I am in Port Harcourt. And I think around the world, it's getting cooler in most places. So, August was yeah, July and August were in very interesting months for us because we had this theme mini series on food, glorious food, where we explored different aspects of agriculture. And I can tell you for sure that we are going to go back because we barely scratched the surface. But we did have quite a few, how would I call it, aha moments. You know, we've seen great initiatives being birthed already, like the Millet Grain Initiative for Bread in Nigeria, which is spearheaded by Chef Jules of Buff Bakery. Hola, Chef Jules. We've also had conversations around edible gardens, especially in our homes, with Jackie Apparenta of My Plants Life. And it sparked a lot of um, active conversations around forgive me. We are back on now. And hi, everyone on Instagram. Great to see you. Hi, Essien. Welcome. Hi, Oye. Hi, got it. Great to see you all. Great to see you all. We are having today is one of those wonderful days that unplugged gets unplugged physically. Essien, am I still frozen? Okay. Hi, Chucky. It's been a while. Nice to see you. Nice to really see you. So, as I said, welcome everyone to September. It's a great month to be in, and it's a month where people typically panic about what's happening at the end of the year. But no cause for alarm. What you didn't do yesterday, you know what? At the grace of God, there's something called tomorrow, and most importantly, there's today. So we just keep moving as best as we can. So July and September and August. I always I skip August. I don't know why. July and August were very interesting months for us because we had this mini series on food, glorious food, and it was interesting. To me, it was very interesting because it opened my eyes to the entire value chain, and already interesting collaborations are happening. Very interesting collaborations and initiatives are happening. So we went all the way from Jos with the House of Purpose with Nimder, where she told us about the issues around Jos and the potatoes, Plateau State, you know. And we had the Millet Grain Initiative, which has started with Chef Jules. Very, very interesting initiative. You should follow her and see what's happening. Then we've had conversations around edible home gardens with Jackie Apparenta, and it is working out so well that even I'm going to share my journey. I promise you, I'm not a YouTuber, but this is something that I feel that somebody who has brown thumbs like me, if I can get a home garden under her guidance, it's going to be a wonderful thing. Even one of our friends, of the friends of the house, a personal friend and a friend of JJC, Lavenders, Mimi Sirima, she's already started and she's really excited about what's happening with her edible garden. So that's a great thing to do. And then we did go to the north where we learned about pastoral dairy, and we're looking forward to the news that will come from Cham Dairies about fresh milk and the work they're going to start in October. So there's a whole lot that we're going to keep bringing back to you and putting on the front burner. And as we heard last week from Oyo Effiong of Iwang, which means plantation or garden in the Efik or Ibibe language, uh, he's looking for people who collaborate with him. People who are, so I'm expecting that anytime now he's going to put out a paper, share a paper with us, and then we will share it with you in case you want to be an investor in that space. But he was the one who kind of provided us a lovely segue into the space of tech, because Iwang is actually a tech enabled business which is based in Calabar. And we thought, yeah, why not talk about tech? Why not go into that space and see what do techies do really? Decided to talk about the digital universe and you and me. It's a universe that sometimes seems very scary and woo woo, and we don't know what would happen. But we do have someone here with us today who is an amazing storyteller through the works that he does, and also his expression. Is a very expressive person, and he loves to say, according to him, he loves to take life easy and enjoys laughing. So I'm sure this is going to be a bundle of laughs for us today, as well as a lot of information. So please welcome with me Udoro Essien of
Hello, everyone. It's
Hi.
good to be
You're
here.
welcome.
Thank you, Ma, for having me on this edition.
It's really great to have you. It's really great. We've been trying to have you like for a while, not because you said no, you didn't say no, but we were looking for the perfect place for you to be in, and this is the space. This is the space.
Thank you very
So
much.
let
Really
me
appreciate that.
thank you. Thank you for accepting. And he accepted without giving us any grief at all. Some people just say, really, I want to check you out first. And that's good. You should check out things. But you know, Dora and I, we already know each other. So I guess we had already checked each other out. So Dora, let me invite you to IG.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Thank you. I mean,
there you are. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so Udoro is a graphic designer. It says he's a UI UX designer. I don't know what that means, and a front end developer. He's going to tell us what all of that means. You know, he's very, very passionate about celebrating and inspiring creativity, and that's my kind of person. I love creativity. Hi, Stella. I said, if you didn't join, I would have wondered where you were. You know, that would have been an appraisal issue for you. That's Doro's wife. Hi, Stella. Nice to see you online. You know, so, Udoro, one thing I think I'd like all of us to know is that apart from enjoying graphic design, Udoro also teaches graphic design. Udoro, I just subscribed to your channel. Yeah. So
oh,
his business is
that's
called
great.
Bobby and Cracka. Oh yes, I just subscribed. His business is called Bobby and Cracka, and he runs Design with Cracka, which is a YouTube channel. Okay, so I think it's here. Yeah, it's on. I'll put it on. Hi, Lavenders. I just spoke about you now. He shares knowledge on web development, and he has tutorials on web design and using specific software.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so please do follow him. It's let me just put that. Let me put this here first. So if you want to follow him, it's you can find him on Facebook at Udoro Cracka Essien and IG at Udoro_Cracka Essien. And if you want to learn web design at your own pace, then this is his YouTube channel here. So please take time and copy it down, you know, and we could show you how to do this later. So but I'm very interested about Bobby and Cracker. Who is Bobby and who is Cracker?
Yeah, it's a question that I've been asked a couple of times. He said, "Who is? Are you Bobby? Who is Bobby? Who is Cracker?"
I
Okay,
suspect you
yeah,
to be Cracker.
yeah, yes, I am Cracker. Bobby is actually my brother. The name came about. It's a nickname that my dad gave both of us. I think it was. He said it's his favorite novel characters when he was you know young adult. So he used to read a series of novels. So they had these characters in them, and one of them was Bobby, and the other one was Cracker. So he actually gave us those nicknames. As a matter of fact, I can't remember my dad calling me my real name since ever since I started growing up. You know, I can't remember. I've never heard my dad call me Udoro. You know, so so he calls me Cracker and he calls my brother Bobby. So when I thought about a name to give my business, and my brother and I, well, yeah, it's not as though we used to do stuff together. I just thought, okay, it would be nice to have, if this kind of collaboration with him, if possible. So because of that, I just made it. I decided to make the business name like open ended like that, even though it was mostly mine. So I decided to call it Bobby and Cracker. And I thought of calling it Cracker and Bobby since I was the main owner of the business, but there was just a ring to Bobby and Cracker. The B comes first. So I
Yeah,
decided to go with Bobby and
yeah.
Cracker. So that is how the name came about. Yep.
It's a lovely name. It definitely has a lot of intrigue. It's a great conversation starter. And I'm a branding person, and you're a branding person yourself. So I know that names really pull people in. So, well,
Yeah.
thanks for clearing that up. But I always
All
suspected you
right.
were a cracker anyway. I always suspected that you were a cracker.
Obviously.
Yeah. So, guys, in this series, we're going to have five people in this series. Udoro is the first person, and he's going to tell us how technology, well, his own journey into this space, and also we will start learning from him how we can deploy technology from his own angle and from different angles to enhance our businesses and our brands. So we'd like to find out about your own journey first. How did you know for sure? Because some people go into certain. I've met too many people who said, "Okay, maybe I was a lawyer. I studied law, but really my heart lies in a different place." And that's when I finished. I started doing this. I was a banker. I was this. Sorry, could you unmute yourself? Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah.
So, how did you know? Did you know from the beginning that this is what you wanted to do? And how did you know?
Okay, I did not know from the beginning that this is what I wanted to do. But now I think it's if I say it like that, it's kind of misleading. I did not know from the beginning that this is what I wanted to do as a career, but I knew
Okay.
from the beginning that this is what I wanted to do. So I never thought of it as a career path. It wasn't, it never crossed my mind. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even aware that this is a career path. As at the time, I had interest. Uh, I think the story is similar with a lot of other creatives that they found their, passion for creativity when they were very young, and it's no different from mine. I remember very well that when I was young, when I was in nursery, I used to I used to draw and paint. I mean, that is something that a couple of children have in common. What I remember very well was that when I did painting with my watercolors and pasted it on the walls of the sitting room, I think one of the things I'm grateful for was that I can't remember my dad ever taking issues with that. He always appreciated it. He never came and said, "Who pasted this thing here?" And so, yeah, it was kind of an encouragement for me. Looking back, I didn't even know the value of that. But over time, I kept expressing interest in creativity, and my parent noticed it. I just love doing stuff that are creative, both on paper and with my handcraft like that. And when I was done with secondary school, between the time I was to get into into the university, I think I spent quite some time at home, and that was in '99. My dad bought a PC for the house. PCs were not
Hmm.
very common then, and
Not at all.
and so, and immediately, I don't even know how, when they say the universe works, in the certain way that just makes everything works together. My dad just happened to buy Corel Draw alongside the other softwares, Microsoft Word and all. And he happened to buy Corel Draw. That was version 7 as at the time. I remember very well. And I was so intrigued by the cover, the cover design of the software, because these softwares came in packages, like a box. So
Yes.
you have to open it, take
Yes.
out the CD, yeah, and install it. These days,
I
you just
installed it.
download it
I
directly. Yeah,
remember.
yeah. So, so they
Yeah.
came in a CD. So, yeah, so we installed that, and I spent most of the time on the screen just practicing Corel Draw because I just enjoyed it. I never knew that this is something that people do as work. So I spent time learning that. So what I did was anytime I see a flyer, I've always wanted to know how to do it prior to this time. And anytime I'm watching TV, maybe NTA news, those days, when you have those NTA flying into the screen, I've always been intrigued. How can I do this thing? I would love to know how to do this stuff. And so I started learning. I just started practicing until one day I did something and took it out to print, to just print out. And when somebody saw it, he said, "What package did you use in doing this stuff?" And I said, "It's Corel Draw." He said, "No, I don't believe it's Corel Draw. I don't believe we can do this with Corel Draw."
Oh,
And I didn't I didn't understand what it meant. So obviously it was really good. Uh, so so that was how the journey started, and that interest was always there even when I entered the university. As a matter of fact, it was kind of distracting because I would spend most of the time learning design and web instead of reading, you know. So so I would like to say that probably I gave more attention to that, So when I was done with school, I just knew that this is really what I would love to do. So while I was in school, I was in a fellowship where I used to design for the fellowship. And actually, what happened was that I was in a particular department and I had to design a small, I mean, unsolicited, I had to design a small flyer to just to advertise that we are doing this in this department. And then the pastor saw it and asked who did that. And they said, I'm the one that did it. And then he said, okay, come and see me. You have to come and do this in my presence. I want to be sure that you are the one that did it. And he said, sit on my, he gave me a system to sit on, gave me something to do. And that is how I became the graphic designer for the fellowship. And
Wow.
then, and so, so when I was done with school, it was clear that, okay, this is what I would like to do. Okay, so I missed something out. I People came to me and said, if I knew what you knew, I would be making a lot of money. And I had no idea what they were talking about because all the time I was doing this stuff, there was money wasn't the motivation. In fact, I didn't know I had no idea that you can possibly make money from this. So I have never asked for money for design before. So when they said that, I was like, how do people make money from this? What are they talking about? And then over time, it became clear, it became clear, oh, really? You can actually do this for people and charge for it. And all the while, I was doing it just for the love of it. And so when I was done, I decided, okay, this is really what I would love to do because I
Sorry, guys, you're getting a bit frozen right now. I'm just going to switch networks briefly. We're getting frozen. It's threatening to rain. So bear with me a minute. We may just be off for a minute. Okay. I think I'm back on Facebook and I'm waiting for our guest to come back. Yes, he's back.
Okay, am I on?
You're back on, but
Uh,
I need to bring you back on Instagram.
all right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so I'm connecting. Yeah, I think I'm on
Yeah.
Instagram now.
I can't see you yet, but yeah, you're on. Yeah, you're on.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So you were talking about monetizing your talent.
Yeah, so
How did you go through that process? Because a lot of young people or people starting businesses, they don't know how to monetize their talent.
to be frank, it was a really big challenge for me also because I'm not much of a business person. I'm more of a creative. I'm not really, when it comes to business, I wouldn't say it is something I had to learn, take a conscious effort to learn. So it's, yeah, it's a recognizable challenge because when I decided to, tour that path, I think you know, I think I owe my gratitude to the some of my bosses that you know were kind of that led me in this process, whether consciously or unconsciously, because I had to serve certain people. Uh, One of them was the uh, one of the pastor that was a fellowship pastor in University of Port Harcourt. Then it was Christ Embassy, Believers Love World Students Campus Fellowship. I had Pastor Dele, Ogumba. He he also was. Funny enough, he also was a creative, and he kind of working with him, I learned a lot, the creative aspect and the business aspect of doing stuff. So he used to print a lot, and most of the time I will do those stuff for him. And in the process of doing those stuff, I learned a lot. And I think it was a very pivotal point in my life where I began to have some clarity on, you know, how this passion of mine can be translated into, into a business. Uh, when he was transferred, or when he was transferred from the fellowship, and I was I actually decided, okay, I was going to start doing this stuff. And around that time, a friend of mine called me and said that he's working with the King's Assembly, and they need a graphics person. And then I was like, I really don't want to work. I just want to do my stuff. I want to do my business stuff. I want to design for people. I want to print for people. So he was like, if there's anybody that I would love to work with me, it's you, because you really understand how this thing works. And I gave it a thought and decided to go. And I think it was one of the best decisions I've taken, because there I met, you know, Pastor Chris Ugo of the King's Assembly. And up till now, I would say that Pastor Chris played a role in really shaping up the way I do my work, because he is a no nonsense person. He doesn't act. It is He's a creative himself, and he
He
has
doesn't
very
tolerate
high taste.
mediocrity. Yeah,
Yes, he doesn't.
yeah,
He doesn't.
yeah.
So, I remember at first, I have to be honest that you can be good at what you do, but you can just decide to be lazy. So I remember at
True.
first that when I started working, and I would just be lazy and try to just, quickly do stuff. And he would just say, uh, anybody that knows Pastor Chris, you just, can you do it again? Can you do something else? And in a very polite way. And when that happened, I knew that, well, this man is not going to take anything. I have to really give in my best. And I started giving in my best. And when you do that, you start doing that, you get used to giving your best. At a point, you don't need someone to push you to do it. So working with Pastor Chris, instilled a certain mindset in me that at a point, I wouldn't need him to tell me this is not okay. I will know, I will do something and know that it's not okay, and do it again, until it is okay. So that really shaped, in terms of skill set, in terms of mindset, in how I deliver my work. That really helped me a lot. So I owe that to him, because he really played a very important role in that. So when I
So
stopped
that
working with the Kings,
if I may
yeah,
just interject, sorry, there's some
yeah,
things I've learned here, like in monetizing your talent. I mean, talent is something that you have to hone. It's not good enough to
yeah,
just have talent. You need people
yeah,
who are in your life who will help you fine tune, process that talent. And you have to admit, well, submit yourself, allow yourself to go through that processing. And it's not always an easy thing to process talents, because many talented, gifted people, I've worked with a lot of creatives, and just as I am opinionated, so are they. And so it's usually a tug of war, But it's important to know that you have talents. That talent has to be processed from its raw state into a better state. And it's important to bring your A game all the time. Don't wait for someone to tell you, bring your A game. And that's when you start getting professional. Because Udoro, I know people who, I mean, I look at some of their flyers and stuff like that, and I just say, I know who did this for you, you know. And I say, well, who do you think it was? And I say, it's Udoro, right? And they say, yeah. I said, because every good artist, designer has a signature, you know. and so I could tell what your signature was. Quite a few of my friends, yeah, quite a few of my friends.
Yeah.
Then they say,
Okay.
"Oh, he's expensive." Oh, I said, "Yeah, but have you seen anybody else around doing this same thing that has this impact?" And they'd say no. I said, "Okay, fine. It's not expensive. He's giving you value. He's giving you
Yeah.
value." So I've been quietly selling your markets behind your back,
Oh,
very quietly selling your
thank you
market.
very much.
Yeah. You're very welcome. But let's go in. More people have joined, and welcome, 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 everybody. And just in case you weren't here when I said welcome to September to everyone. Well, welcome to September. And if you haven't hit your goals yet, don't worry. You know what? For me, life continues after December because there's January. So there's always time. So don't shut down. Don't give up. There's always hope. That's my approach to life. And we're speaking about you and the digital universe. And our guest today is Udoro Essien of Bobby and Cracka. And he's been telling us about how he got into this space and learned how to monetize his talent. And Udoro, one of the things Udoro does is he's a front end developer. And I'd like him to tell us what that is. What is a front end developer?
It's just a fancy name for a web designer. So basically, um, a front-end developer is someone that is skilled in certain has this set of skill HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So you are basically able to design a website. Uh, you handle the aspects of the website that people see, because when it comes to web design, there's a lot that goes on. There's an aspect that people don't see. There's what is called a backend developer. Those people handle the functionality, the things that run behind the
Okay.
website that make things work the way they're supposed to work. But the part that you see, the visuals, the interactions are handled by the front end developer. So in a nutshell, so I I specialize in that aspect of. So when you say UI UX, you're talking about the user interface and the user experience. So when you want to do a
Aha,
website,
okay.
you look at it and you're like, okay, so what the how users are going to interact with this website. The first thing is the user interface. How is it going to look? The visuals. Then the user experience has to do with um, where are we going to place these buttons? How easy is it? How easy is it for people to get access to a certain information that they need on the page? Should we place it at the top? Should we place it at the bottom? That is when you're talking about the user experience, because you are looking from the perspective of the
Okay.
user. How easy will it be for the
How to
user to
navigate.
use this
Yeah.
website to navigate? Yeah. So that is user experience. So you have to be able to balance those two. Don't overdo the other one at the expense of the other one. So sometimes you go to a website, it's really fancy, but you can't really you find it difficult to get what you want. It's difficult. You have to dig deep into the different aspects to be able to get out the information you're looking for. That means it's a poor user experience, but a beautiful UI. So so being able to marry the two is what makes you a good web designer.
Okay.
So that's basically
And
what the front end developer is.
is I mean, thank you for clearing that up for me, because the other question I had is what is coding? Everybody tosses coding at adults. Get your child to start coding and everything. Uh, what is coding?
Well, coding is coding. Is actually writing. So coding actually
Is
means
that back
writing.
end or front end?
Is both. You have the back end developers and the front end developers. You have to learn coding. So for the front end developers, in my aspect, I have to learn different syntax, how to write certain languages that the computer understands, that the browser understands. So just like you write English, coding is a language. that you write for the
Mm.
computer. So
Wow. Okay.
you want to style if for instance, say you're doing in graphic design, if you want to put a color, you just simply go and click the color, choose the color from the color palette. But in web design, if you want to write a color, there's a syntax for it. Traditionally, there's a syntax for it where you have to write color and then you put a semicolon and say you write the color code, you know. But even though there are tools that enables you to do that visually without being able to write the code, but the primary the underlying principle is that these things are run with code. So you have the CSS code, which takes care of the visual. So the CSS is basically like the graphic design of the web, the graphic design language of the web. So that determines the color, the shape, the size, the behavior, the movement, sometimes to an extent of the object on your screen. And then you have what is called the HTML code. Now, the HTML code should actually be the first thing I'm supposed to talk about because those are the building blocks, of the website. So the HTML code is like more like you want to build a house, the blocks you use in building it, that is the HTML code. So it creates the different building blocks for your website. Then the CSS code, which means cascading style sheet, is what you use in decorating, give color, give the shape, the size. And then you have this other one called the JavaScript code. The JavaScript
Okay.
code has to do with how the web interacts with you. So what do you want to happen when you click this button? So the JavaScript code, deals with that. So basically, the code is just a computer language that is being interpreted by the computer, and the computer understands this language. So with this language, you use it to instruct the computer on what to do, depending on which language you're using. So that's what code is, basically.
You've actually cleared up quite a lot of cobwebs in my brain because I know when people talk about HTML, JavaScript, I mean, I've known about JavaScript forever and HTML, but I didn't know what they did. So, what you've done for me, and I hope for our guests who have joined us, is that you've made it possible for us to understand and know what questions to ask instead of just looking at you guys in awe and like, okay, JavaScript, okay, whatever. Well, okay, just do your thing. So you've helped in a nutshell, helped us do that. But now, what I'd like to ask, there's this thing that has come on is microsites and real websites or blog sites or mobile sites. What are all this? I mean, there's so much language that comes out day by day, and as a business owner, you're grappling with this. Do I need a microsite? Do I need a big website? Do I need a movie site? Do I need, I don't know, blog site? What does this mean for the business owner? And this is the small, medium, growing business owner. Why do we have to know all of these things?
Okay, I think at first it's important to understand what this means because you need to know this to have an idea of how it impacts your business. A microsite is basically a small website that's just the main purpose is to showcase your business, is to showcase the services that you render. So this could be as ranging from a small landing page to, let's say, a 3 to 5 page, uh, website. So it basically showcases. So there's not much functionality to it. So it's just like a mini
Okay.
brochure for your a mini
Okay.
online brochure for your business. So now the world is going global. Everything is global nowadays. The brick and mortar stores will probably, in the next couple of years, be a thing of the past for most kinds of businesses. So there are certain kind of businesses that cannot afford to rely on people coming physically to their shop to meet them. Now, people that are still living in that reality, you know, of obviously have started taking a hit because they are going to lose sales, they're going to lose customers. Whereas there are other people that stay in the comfort of their home and they are making sales. They are selling their services. So it is very important for every business to leverage on these, you know, trend of having a website, having a microsite. It's something that they shouldn't take for granted. It's Now there is a debate that, okay, what if I have Instagram handle? What if I am on Facebook?
Hmm.
Isn't that enough? And obviously, these are
Even
still the new
sorry, even
generation.
WhatsApp
Yeah,
catalog. Yeah,
yeah,
WhatsApp for
yeah.
business. Yeah.
So yes, that is true because what these platforms are trying to do, they are trying to incorporate what you have typically on your website into these platforms like Facebook. So you have marketplaces on Facebook, you have like catalog, like basically a mini website on WhatsApp. So all these are very important. These are things that you should not take lightly. Now, there are some niche, there are some, businesses that you should have a website. You just don't want to remain on WhatsApp and Facebook because of perception, the way people perceive your business. They
Okay.
usually feel that if you don't have a website, then you are not really serious minded. Uh, so some people really want to check you out. For instance, if you're running a school, the first thing someone wants to check out is your website. That's what the person wants to
Absolutely.
check out. Yeah, oh, this school, let's check out their website, and they go, and if you don't have a website, they begin to feel that, is it really a serious school? Are they just trying to tag along? Even though they have Facebook, because the idea in people's mind is, I mean, every Tom, Dick, and Harry has a Facebook account. So maybe there should be something extra that you should have as a business, as a school. So they want to check if you have a website, and if you don't have a website, they feel that. mm, but
Maybe.
to be sincere, it's not really like a big deal breaker because it depends on how you also present your Facebook page or your Instagram page. If you have invested a lot in social media marketing, if you've invested a lot in making sure that that page is very active with a lot of information, I mean, that can make up for the absence of a website. But a website is usually all also necessary to add that uh, additional seriousness to your business. And there are things that you you can do on the website, that it's much easier for people to navigate than to use social media. There are people that are not on social media. They don't like social media. Now, if you don't have a website, you're going to lose that market share. So these are all very important part of using the technology to promote your business, because if you miss out on one, then you're missing out on a chunk of the market share that you would have taken advantage of.
I think that's great. And for me, it's like maybe you start with one, and then depending on a good graphic designer friend of mine also has this. He says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so he is." So I think that even if you're small, you know where you want to go. So at every level, be the best. Be the best. If you're going to have a Facebook page, you know, populate it. Make sure that it's also professional. Don't try not to post personal pictures. Try to keep your political leanings off your professional page. Try to keep those things out. And just let people come in and have a good interface. Good experience with you. See, I'm beginning to use your language. you know. Okay, so I have to show you first. I have to share this with you, and from somebody called Stella saying, I wonder who she is. You know, she says, I think of a website as a storefront. What do you think about that? Thank you for your comments and your contribution, Stella. She's actually
Yeah.
Udoro's wife. Yes.
Am I still on?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So yes, that's absolutely very correct. It's like a storefront. It's easy for people to reach you. It's easy for people to have a a quick overview of your business on the website. It's much easier than having a quick overview of your business on your social media. On the website, you'll be able to give people a quick snapshot on your homepage about what your business is all about. On the website, you are able to quickly let people know about if you have a team. On your website, it's easy to quickly get people to read, to get people to see your social proof, bring them all together in one place. The testimonials that people have given about your business, the experiences, all in one place. They don't have to lose it because you don't have timelines that keeps going off. So you put something here, and in the next 2 hours, nobody sees it again um, because it's being pushed down. So you share it on your status, it disappears after 24 hours. But on the website, everything is where it's supposed to be. They can quickly get the information they need on the website. So that is why a website is so important. So yeah, she's very right. It's like a storefront, and people can easily come in there. If you're selling, you can quickly people can quickly come in there to also, if it's an e-commerce website, they can come in there to purchase what they want and easily just find it and check out. So yeah, that's correct.
That's correct. Okay. We have a couple of other comments from Geraldine Oku, who happens to be my sister. Um, Isis. So Jerry says she's particularly keen on remote selling and marketing of her services. Jerry, could you tell? I know what services you're on, but or you offer, but could you just share in the comment section what your services are so Udoro could speak to that? You know, and she also, while she's doing that, she also wanted to know whether you do provide services and products to and for small to medium sized enterprises. And if so, what's your range of products and your fees?
Okay, so yeah, uh, I it's kind of a tricky question to answer because I think in my business, I'm at a point where I'm transitioning from doing commissioned work, which means you call me and say, I want to design this. Okay, this is how much I do. And then, so I'm trying to transition from that phase to just offering digital products for sale based on my skill. That's what I do. But I still offer um, web design services. I've really dialed down on the graphic design services.
Okay, I was going to ask you how are you going to customize like graphic design services, or you're leaving that space altogether for now?
No, no, yeah, for now I'm putting it on hold because of the time that I need to invest in. Now, one thing about the kind of work business I do, if you're rendering a service like graphic design, of course there are a couple of ways you could go about it. But when people know you and they already used to the level of what do I say? The right word to use is they know the quality of the work you deliver. It's kind of tricky for those set of people that already know the quality of work you deliver. It's kind of tricky um, to take their work and give it to someone you are not sure is going to be able to deliver that same quality of work. So one of the challenges, I've usually had is, taking a service that someone wants to be, someone wants me to provide a certain service for him. Let's say graphic design, wants to design a logo, and then and if you take it and give it to someone else that can do it properly, they know that you are not the one that did it. So sometimes it requires you to sit down and do that. And because of the many other ways I want to diversify, you can't just put yourself in everywhere. So you have to really narrow down. So what I'm doing now is I narrowed down my services to web and then the graphic design integrated into the whole package.
Okay.
So that's what I do now. Yeah. So it's kind of like an overall package. So if you want to do a web design, I can do the web design and the accompanying graphic, design for it. If you want to do social media designs, then you know, there are people that specialize in, social media marketing. And for instance, my wife does media marketing, so she specializes in that, and she has, that is her own field. So if someone wants to do social media marketing, social media design, I just, push that to her because I want to focus on the one that I really want to do right now, which is offering the web design services with the graphic design inclusive in the package. So that is the service that I offer right now. Um, so for people that for business owners.
Okay. I understand. I understand. Um, but a question on that: if someone wants to have a certain look and feel for their social media pages, and I'm talking specifically about not TikTok, about your Instagram page. You want to have a certain look and feel. Would one go to your wife is killing me here? Would one go to Mrs. Essien or would one go to Bobby and Cracker?
Yeah, anything that has to do with social media, anything
Yes.
that has to do with social media, I don't go near it.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
yeah, it's what my wife does, so I don't go near that.
Okay.
That is her own business. It's not a joint business.
Okay.
It's not under the same. It's her own business. It's a separate thing, and
Okay.
she specializes in that so much that I will do a really bad job at it if I try to do it compared to what she will do. So I don't even bother
Okay.
to take on jobs like that. I decide to stay in my space, and focus on what, so I can give the best that I can.
Well, Mrs. Essien, could you write your social media your on this page? I mean, the two of you are one, so let's benefit from that and share with our audience. So, okay, Jerry, while we're waiting for Stella to write that, you see, I didn't even know that, and she speaks to me quite. We talk quite frequently, and she didn't tell me that. Stella, not good. You have to sell your market. Okay, so this is what Jerry says. She says, principally, I'm a lawyer by training and a banker by occupation in a previous career incarnation. Uh, we speak English in our family, please. I'm currently a private sector development consultant. So, in a nutshell, my service offerings are legal, financial advisory, ranging from one offs to term consultancies. So, um, what would you recommend her to have? Uh, a microsite or social media page? What do you recommend?
Well, I would recommend her to have a website, even if it's a landing
Okay.
page, like even if it's a one
Okay.
pager, because for the service based businesses like this, you really want to have a website for someone to quickly take a look at it. I mean, for this type of business she does, that niche, she needs to have a website for it because the kind of people that she's going to render services to most likely will be people that are not, you know, if they are big company, if she's rendering these services to companies, these are people that would really want to check her out on the website rather than go to social media. And then social media will just be for mostly these companies when they are checking you out on social media, they are checking you out for is scrutiny, basically. But if they want to know they want to really know about your business, they want to check out your website to know about your business. So people just check you out on social media because they want to know more about your person. But they want to know about your business, they want to check out your website. So yeah, I think having a website and having a social media page is also important, a page on social media. So this is separate from your personal profile. So you have a page that reflects what is on your website. So someone comes to your website, the person sees the branding on your website. I'm sorry, yeah, on your website, and then comes to your social, maybe your Facebook page, and then sees the same branding and the service you offer. I think, yeah, something is out on StreamYard. I am seeing myself. I don't know if you're seeing yourself. Okay. Okay, it will appear.
Okay, I'm waiting for him to come back. But Jerry, I hope that answered your question. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back, Jerry. You know we
Okay,
unplugged. We
all right.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I'm still waiting to. Hey, let's talk about 5G quickly. You know, let's talk about 5G because we're almost at the end of the top of the hour. Is 5G
All
going
right.
to solve all our problems?
Well, I think what is a problem?
Well, like the problem I have with connectivity and stuff
Oh,
like I
here.
don't know. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, this is from my observation. I don't think the the problem we have is the absence of 5G. I think it's the lack
Okay.
of being able to utilize the present infrastructure available because 4G is more than sufficient to handle uh, HD video streaming. Actually, 3G is more than sufficient to handle a very decent video streaming service or video call. So, with a
Mm,
good 3G, you can make a video call and it's going to be very clear. With a 4G, you can make high definition video calls or video streaming. So, the fact that
mm.
we have 4G and we're still having issues with the internet means that the problem we're having is not the band, it's not the technology. So it's not whether it is 4G or 5G. It's actually um, being able to make the infrastructure that is available work. So it's still possible. So if we are not able to do something with the 4G, if we are still having issues. I'm using 4G right now, but we're still having drops in network, poor quality of streaming. So what's the guarantee that we're not going to have that same issue with 5G? And the 5G technology has a shorter wavelength, which means that uh, the reach is not as much as the 4G. So the 4G has a
Oh,
wider
really?
reach. Yeah.
Mm,
So if you're installing a mast, say maybe at Rumala, and then someone at say Waterlines should be able to pick it up, or Garrison should be able to pick up the signal. But in 5G is not so. 5G you need to install the mask very short intervals because the wavelength is shorter, even though it's faster, but it is shorter. So in a sphere where you would normally have, let's say, um, maybe like three masts for 4G, you probably would need to have up to say 6 to 7 to 8 5G masts, so that so the coverage might be a challenge. So if we are having difficulties with coverage with 4G, then I'm really curious to see what they are going to do with the 5G. So I think yeah, being
I
able
need to
to.
I need to post this for you. You need to see this. Someone saying she's glad to know it's not antichrist.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we hear a lot of things. We hear a lot of
Yeah.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Funny
I'm even
enough,
thinking from. Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead, please.
I said the beautiful thing about this is that time always tells.
Yeah.
That even those who had these theories about the spiritual angle of technology, they eventually turn out to utilize this technology. and so yeah, so it's going to be the same. So anybody that said that it was antichrist, at the end of the day, they will use it. Today, people are using Facebook, they're using the television, they're using the your satellite. Years ago, they called it the antichrist. They call it the tools of the devil. So it's still going to be the same. We are still going to be around to see when everyone use it.
Yeah, yeah. So I've heard a lot of things, and I'd like to just reflect on them with you. Um, One thing is that even if you're exceedingly talented, you have to work that talent. You have to work it. I mean, good thing we just came from farmers. They work very hard. We've never had so much difficulty getting our guests to join on the day of the broadcast as we had with people in the agro industry, and that's because we understand. I mean, when you need to go milk a cow, you need to go milk a cow. It's not going to wait and
Yeah,
say, "Oh, listen, I need to be on." Yeah, So you need to do what you're doing. You need to do it and do it well, you know. And so there's that. You have to understand what you're using. Practice, practice, practice. Perfect your art. Perfect your craft. Learn to monetize it and learn from. We don't know everything. Learn from the experts, and also learn what works for you. Maybe you don't have websites, big website money, but make your WhatsApp business WhatsApp
yeah,
catalog interesting.
yeah. Start
You know,
from there.
make it
Yeah.
yes, make it interesting. Brand is and yes, there's this thing I'm going to ask everybody who comes in on the technical end about the democracy that digital tools have brought to us. So now we have a tool like, let me just use Canva as an
Yeah,
example. Yeah.
yeah.
And so it makes us feel that we can do everything. So are we
hmm
putting the professionals out of work, or is there still a place for the professionals?
Well, if there's anything I've learned about the future, you know, in retrospect, if there's anything I've learned about the future, is that the future will always leave certain people behind. And if people do not learn to adapt to the times, they will definitely be left behind. So let me explain what I'm saying. Now, I said earlier that I'm trying to restructure the way I'm doing my business. So when I say that I don't take commission jobs like that, because these are things I've done over the years. And then I have to look at it. We have a future where artificial intelligence will, unfortunately, but definitely take jobs from a lot of people. Already, um, just a few years back, my friend and I, Rex, when we were working together in the King's Assembly, he said there's going to be a time that, now this was before Canva, came out, or what, or rather was popular, so people didn't really know about it. He said he feels that there's going to be a time that technology will just do the design for you, and they
Hmm.
don't have need for professionals. And I was kind of like, are you sure that's going to happen? And then just a couple of weeks later, he said, I told you. He showed me Canva. I was like, wow, this is really crazy. And whether you like to accept it or not, Canva has taken a market share from professional to traditional graphic designers. Now, these are people, there are a lot of people that would have given you a design to do something as small as the kind of flyer you are doing for this event, and they would have gone to a graphic designer to do it. But now we have
We used
tools
to.
that are,
We used to do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So now you have tools that will enable just the business owners that have no idea of what design is all about with all the pre-made template. And to be frank, some of these templates, some of these pre-made designs that are just there for you to swap out your text and images are far better than what you would even pay someone some money to do. So this is the reality. And the reality is that technology, when it comes, is going to take away, yeah, a huge share of jobs from the professionals. Now, that doesn't mean the professionals don't have their place. because there is an extent to which these tools will take you as a layperson. For instance, when you want to do your brochure, if you want to do a good company brochure, you're going to come to someone like me to do it for
Yeah.
you. Because those tools don't give you the skill set to be able to do stuff like that. Yeah, if you're skilled enough, maybe you can sit down and do it, uh, but there's just something about a professional that there's a professional touch that is going to be missing. There's an eye that the professional is going to bring into it that you will not be able to do it by just looking at the template. So there's always that place for the professional. But the thing is, what I would advise, if you're a professional in the creative field, what I would advise you to do is really, first of all, come to terms with this reality and then try to refactor your business. So even if you're saying, okay, maybe you say, I would do a design for you, I can do your flyer for you. Just say I can do your design on Canva for you, and then you're going to have access to that design wherever you go. That means
Okay.
traditionally, when we as designers design stuff for you, you don't have access to the source file. It's not yours. It's the output. The end product is what is yours. That's what you paid for. But we reserve the right to keep the source file. Yeah, you may request for it,
Uh-huh.
and we can decide to give you, or we can decide not to give you, or ask you to pay an extra to get the source file. And this is what a couple of people don't understand, that the designer is the owner of the source file, not you. You are the owner of the end product. So I do a brochure for you. I can export it as PDF for you. That is yours. The original CorelDRAW file is mine. But if you told me from the beginning that you would like to have the source file, so you say, what if I wanted to print it? I can give you in a format that you can print. That is PDF. Because the source file contains reusable element that you have not paid for. It's the same reason the photographer will not give you the raw file. It gives
Okay.
you a certain file that is a certain file size. That's what you paid for. If you want the raw file, you pay extra for it because the raw file has a lot more potential. That means you can use the raw file for a big banner. You can edit it. There's so much possibility inside that raw file. So the value of it is not what you paid for. So they usually request for more money to give you the raw file. So this is what. But now technology has come to make you know, to take certain share of the market from you as the professional. So you have to innovate. So now instead of holding on to the source file, you can say, all right, we're going to do this design for you on Canva. We can do social media design for you on Canva, but you will have access to the
To
files. You can
okay.
always, take this and tweak it anyhow you want. So being innovative like this, changing with the times, is going to help you as a professional. Without you change, like I said, what I'm doing now is I'm developing digital product for web designers, building web components that I can sell to people that are doing web design that can enable them to quickly put up web design easily. So these are digital product that when you talk about digital product, when you do it once, you don't have to do it again. So if I do a design for you, a flyer for you, I can't take that same flyer and sell it to another person.
Okay. I got you. I got you. I think we're frozen again. Oh my goodness. Just in case you can hear me, I hope you can hear me. I think it's either my guest or I will be frozen right now. And I know I can see myself. Am I frozen? Okay, I think our guest is frozen. We had a few questions, but I think we are really like 10 minutes past the hour, so our time is a little bit up right now. And for those who have questions, Lavenders, I see your question that for a fashion accessories business, what would be advised in terms of a website? And I would suggest you go to his IG page, you know, go to his IG page. That's his IG page, Udoro at underscore Cracka underscore Essien. That's his IG page, and ask him because it's a professional. Okay, he's fluctuate. Okay, he's back now. He's back now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I have, but I'm not very active on Instagram. I'm active on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
So
So
if you
please
go to
give me.
my IG page, you're really not going to see activity there.
Give
Um,
me your Facebook. Let me just type your Facebook details here.
yeah, my Facebook is just, I think it's a facebook.com/Udoro.
Let me see. I think we
Facebook.com/Udoro. So it's as simple as that.
facebook.com/Udoro.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it up and you confirm that that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
that is it.
Okay. Okay. So someone had asked them. I'm just going to round because we had this question um, that this is a small business. I don't like to call businesses small. I just like to call them growing. There are some that don't grow even when they're big. You know, they're dying, but they don't even know it. So this is an fashion accessories business. And what would she wants your advice in terms of website? And I suggest that you go just tell him that you watch him on Unplugged. I think I don't recommend free advice because I'm also a service giver.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I know we all have families to then to take care of, and then we also want to chill with the big boys and the big girls as well. So just go ask him, and I'm sure he'd at least give you one tip for free. You know, he'll be able to give you that one tip for free. You know,
Yeah.
just because I'm asking him very nicely here. You know.
Yeah, of course I will.
Thank you very much. Lavenders, you have your answer. You know. Thank you. Thank you so much, Udoro. This has been so
Thank you very much.
interesting for
Yeah.
me. And we haven't we had more questions, but as Unplugged goes, typically our guests come in with their questions and their issues, and it's important to speak to those questions. But I'm happy that you've answered a lot of questions for me as well, and I'm
Okay.
going to be having a word with your wife soon to
All right.
find out. Yeah, before I come back to you. Yeah, before I come back to you. So thank you everybody on Instagram. We are going to sign off on Instagram right now. Thank you for joining us. Thank
Thank you
you
very
very
much.
much. Appreciate it. You know, and for everybody on Facebook, thank you very much. Well, Lavender's her name is Miriam, so she'll reach you. She says she'll reach
Okay.
you on, yeah. So thank you very much, Jerry. You can also reach him. And I need to post this one from one of your friends. There you go.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Che. Thank you very much. And let me also quickly say if you send me a message on Facebook and I don't get back to you on time, just exercise patience, because messages coming in as message requests sometimes don't show up immediately. So, but I will
Okay.
definitely see your message and respond to it.
Okay. Mrs. Essien, yes, you and I will have this conversation soon, very, very soon. Thank you, Udoro. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
And
madam.
next week, please join us as we speak with James Ogunjimi to get another aspect, another perspective on the digital world and you. So come with your questions and
All
join
right.
us. And yeah,
Okay.
take care, everybody. Bye. Thank you so much, Udoro. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, madam. Bye.